On this morning of beginning, we gather holding this place, each other, and the unbound possibilities of this new academic year in the highest good, with the highest hopes, the highest dreams, the highest expectations, and the highest intentions as we create a community of belonging that nurtures the best in us, inspires us to give our heads and hearts fully to what we love with integrity, creativity, and compassion. On this morning of beginning, may we live into our desire to learn and grow with curiosity, and may the sacred bless us and join us on this wild adventure. Amen.
Welcome new students, returning students, new and returning faculty and staff, trustees, and friends to opening Convocation, the official commencing of our 139th academic year. I'm thrilled to greet you today as we celebrate our college's foundation, teaching, and learning. It was our founders' dream to establish an institution in the Rocky Mountain West that would provide knowledge-seeking individuals with a place to be both intellectually daring and contemplative. Today, we remain dedicated to those aspirations as we strive to create a learning environment rich with opportunity for self-exploration and growth. For our new students, you are joining a community that encourages you to think deeply and differently, to go beyond your initial thoughts and assertions and blaze a path that questions conventional ideas. The distinguished alumni that we recognize today, Harlene Hayne, class of 1983, Jim Lewis, class of 1980, and Sam Taylor, class of 1973, have built distinguished careers in science, social science, and the arts. The liberal arts education that they received at Colorado College was the foundation for their journeys. I hope you will take some time to read more about them and imagine ways you can leverage the knowledge and skills you will acquire at CC to follow their leads and make a difference in the world. Now it is my pleasure to introduce a student leader who has already begun to impact those around him. Nathan Lee is a student body president. Originally from Spring Lake, Michigan, Nathan is working toward a major in economics and a minor in environmental issues. Nathan has shown his commitment to the CC community in various ways. He's worked as a lab assistant in the economics department, served as a residential advisor, played varsity tennis, and was instrumental in the reestablishment of the Phi Gamma Delta fraternity on campus. Nathan is passionate about sustainability and community service. He spent time working on a farm in Chile as well as working at the CC farm right here on campus. This past summer, he was a researcher for the State of the Rockies. Nathan has also helped to organize the Empty Bowls program and regularly works Sunday mornings at the CC Community Kitchen. Please welcome CCSGA President Nathan Lee.
Thank you. And thank you, President Tiefenthaler, for that kind introduction. I've enjoyed getting to know you over the past 8 months, and I look forward to working with you this year to improve life at Colorado College for current and future students. For those of you who have not experienced opening convocation at Colorado College before, I extend to you a special welcome. You new staff, faculty, and students have undoubtedly been told all about the best Colorado College has to offer, and with good reason. We are currently a highly selective liberal arts college and noteworthy encouragement of classroom discussion that is welcoming its most selective and racially diverse class of students in our 139-year history. Our location in the Rocky Mountain West is a distinguishing feature that, along with the block plan, makes us so unique. Our accomplishments are laudable. To me, no doubt exists there. However, here at CC, we have much to improve upon, and it is important for newcomers to be aware of our community's struggles. For example, were you aware that there are many successful students who use drugs and alcohol to quell symptoms of depression and severe social anxiety? Did you know that here, young female and male students at times share classrooms with peers who have sexually assaulted them? These are not the only problems that students battle, and other college communities share many of our downfalls. Certain members of the administration and select students have responded to help address these needs. This year marks the first year of the Wellness Resource Center on campus, and the continued work of groups like the Student Organization for Sexual Safety and GROW is invaluable in helping to protect our students. While these campus resources have and can continue to help, they cannot work alone. We are all responsible for what occurs within our community. On that note, I want to inform our new students of some of the responsibilities they've agreed, either wittingly or unwittingly, to take on and remind the rest of us. Here at Colorado College, every single person is in debt, but is an interesting kind of debt. It is not financial for all of us, yet we all owe. Our longest standing debt is owed to the people who got us where we are today. Whether it was a coach, counselor, parent, teacher, or other relative, our former mentors have helped to shape our present selves. You older students owe it to the younger students to introduce them to life at Colorado College, all of its glories and failures. Younger students owe it to the upperclassmen to help redefine what we do here and bring in fresh perspectives. For us at Colorado College, we need to decide what our values are. Your student government owes it to you to facilitate the changes that we want to see in our community. This year, when you feel like we're not doing enough or that we're focusing on the wrong set of issues, please tell us. Be as firm as you want. Get upset, become angered, but craft your criticism in a respectful way. We need your help to accomplish anything. Last year's student government was able to achieve many of their goals. We now have a student trustee, a full voting member on our board of trustees. We have a student ambassador to city council that helps bridge the communication gap between the city and our student body. And we have a reprieve from sanction policy that encourages students to seek medical attention when they've consumed too much alcohol without the fear of disciplinary action. This iteration of student government will continue to be transparent, posting the budgets for student groups, election information, and our meeting minutes online for all to see. This year, your Student Government Association will focus in two broad categories. The first is to facilitate student voice in the strategic planning process. This year, President Tiefenthaler will follow up her Year of Listening campaign with the next step in crafting her strategic plan. 7 students have been appointed to be committee members, and a task of student government this year is to engage the entire student body in open dialogue in order to figure out the needs of current and future students here at Colorado College. Secondly, this year we seek to identify some of the glaring omissions from normal campus discussion, including sexual safety and mental health. Once again, you will be called upon to aid us in identifying these issues. We will not pretend to perfectly represent the interests of every student, but we do promise to listen. Following up on these 2 points, I present a series of challenges to you, classes of 2013, 14, 15, and 16. The first is to look out for one another, while still challenging each other's beliefs and opinions in a respectful way. The second is to allow yourself to feel vulnerable and uncomfortable by having discussions that you've never had with your peers before. Bring up questions of race, gender, sexuality, and religion. And finally, I challenge all of you to hold your student government accountable. We cannot be effective without your voices. Thank you.
Madam President, it is my honor to present Professor and Vice-Chancellor Harlene Hayne, who brings an extraordinary passion for the field of developmental psychology and a deep sense of the role that academics must play in our modern world. Raised in Colorado, Harlene graduated from Colorado College with honors in 1983, then went on to Rutgers University for her doctorate in neuroscience. Before joining Otago University in New Zealand, she was a postdoctoral fellow at Princeton. Harlene is a leading researcher in childhood memory. Some colleagues have observed that Harlene's research interests have followed the developmental stages of her daughters, Maria and Sarah, starting with an interest in infant memory before moving on to child and adolescent memory. Her publication history spans 27 years and includes more than 80 referee journal articles, 20 book chapters, and a book on developmental memory. She's also been editor and reviewer for many scholarly journals, including Psychological Review, Developmental Psychology, and Memory. Her commitment to research is matched by her passion for teaching at the college level, a quality we can only assume she learned here at CC. At Otago, she has not only taught hundreds of undergraduates, but supervised over 50 master's and doctoral theses, many resulting in publication. For her work, Harlene has already received numerous honors, awards, and accolades. She's a fellow of the Royal Society of New Zealand and of the American Psychological Society. She is a recipient of the prestigious Robert L. Franz Award for Excellence in Infancy Research. She's also served as president of the International Society for Developmental Psychobiology and as co-chair of the New Zealand Science and Advisory Committee on Reducing Psychological Morbidity During Adolescence. She is currently a co-director of the New Zealand Innocent Project, part of a worldwide organization to exonerate wrongly convicted individuals. For her service to scientific and medical research, Harlene was made an officer of the New Zealand Order of Merit in 2009. Last year, Harlene became Vice-Chancellor of New Zealand's oldest university, Otago, a post equivalent to President of an American college or university. She is the first woman ever to hold this position at the prestigious Otago. For her extraordinary contributions to research, education, and service in the field of psychology, it is my immense honor to present Professor and Vice-Chancellor Harlene Hayne for the degree of Doctor of Laws, honoris causa.
By action of a joint committee of faculty and trustees, and by virtue of the authority vested in me, I confer upon you, Harlene Hayne, the degree Doctor of Laws, honoris causa, and admit to you all rights and responsibilities pertaining to this degree. As a token of this honor, I ask that you be vested with the hood appropriate to the degree, and I present you with this diploma.
The Madison, Gallatin, and Jefferson rivers combine in southwestern Montana to form the iconic Missouri River. Its flows are already mighty, wide, and full of variation when the river welcomes a stunning 16-mile creek a bit further on. Around the town of Great Falls, the Sun and Smith rivers and Belt Creek tire of their names and set their waters loose in the Missouri. Altogether, anarchic, sure, lumbering for the Mississippi, the Gulf of Mexico, and the one big ocean. It's not hard to imagine the Missouri's braided, brilliant beginnings in a land of such magnificent and varied confluence and connection, finding its way into the mighty flow and spirit of a life. It seems to have done just that in our convocation speaker today, Great Falls, Montana native, Dr. Sam Taylor, Colorado College, class of '73. Dr. Taylor was a biology major at CC and would go on to complete a master's degree from the Marine Science Institute at UC Santa Barbara in 1978 and a PhD in science education at UC Berkeley in 1986. The more science he learned, the more his sensibilities tended to interdisciplinary studies. His training, resolve, and gifts as a marine biologist and science educator would combine in the years to come to produce groundbreaking, innovative exhibitions, educational programs, scholarly publishing, television, and interactive media. Dr. Taylor was biology director at the New York Hall of Science from 1986 to 1990 and served as director of exhibitions at the American Museum of Natural History in New York from 1990 to 1996. He took on the role of chairman and curator of education at the California Academy of Sciences from 1997 to 2007. I met Dr. Taylor in January of 2009, a few years after he left his post in California to assume the directorship of the Carnegie Museum of Natural History in Pittsburgh, one of the top science museums in the world, with an international reputation for research and bold, state-of-the-art exhibits. Dr. Taylor was leading a group of Carnegie Mellon Museum travelers on a small cruise ship to Antarctica. Also on this sojourn was a group of about 30 Colorado College alums and fellow travelers on an alumni trip led by geology professor Christine Sidaway. Christine and Sam gave lectures throughout the voyage, at times braving the vicissitudes and tempestuous Drake Passage while in mid-lecture. I got the river idea for this introduction while witnessing the dauntless Dr. Taylor marshal the gumption of his Carnegie Museum charges during our often twice-daily Zooms over Antarctica's choppy coastal waters in little Zodiacs piloted by half-crazed Scots and Argentines. His example couldn't help but make one wonder if he had a special place in his heart for the painting of Washington crossing the Delaware. Seriously, it's natural to imagine the rich blendings and disparate streams when spending time with Dr. Taylor and learning of his many pioneering interdisciplinary exhibits and educational initiatives. In November 2010, Dr. Taylor established the first Center for Lifelong Science Learning at the Carnegie Museum, and in January of 2011 launched the Center for Biodiversity and Ecosystem Management. Both centers will provide scientists and museum staff with opportunities for interdisciplinary research and projects that make use of the vast resources and collections of the museum, and provide educational experiences and participation opportunities to the public. Still to come for the Carnegie Museum are centers with focus on evolutionary biology, scientific visualization and computation, and world cultures and diversity. These special research and learning centers promise to influence the programs and trajectories of natural science history museums worldwide. The Monongahela and Allegheny rivers converge to form another iconic American river, the Ohio, right in Pittsburgh, not too far from the Carnegie Museum of Natural History. It finds its way to the Mississippi too, in that one big ocean. Given his beginnings, time at CC, and lifelong commitments, it's hard to imagine Sam Taylor too far from grand natural courses that remind us how it all fits together, how we all need and rely on the beauty of each other's gifts. My mom once told me that people can be rivers, carrying along, delivering the good inside them, and making the world better. Colorado has long had a Taylor River. It's out by Gunnison. We've got another visiting us here today, Dr. Sam Taylor, Colorado College, class of '73.
action of a joint committee of faculty and trustees, and by virtue of the authority vested in me, I confer upon you, Samuel Taylor, the degree Doctor of Science, honoris causa, and admit you to all rights and responsibilities pertaining to this degree. As a token of this honor, I ask that you be vested with the hood appropriate to the degree, and I present you with this diploma.
President Tiefenthaler, it's a privilege and a pleasure to introduce Jim Lewis, class of 1980, who we're recognizing this morning for his extraordinary accomplishments as a dramaturge, writer, and librettist. His specific achievements in the theater are described in some detail in the printed comments in the program for today's convocation and need no repeating here. But let's all note that his most recent accolade was a nomination for a 2010 Tony Award for Best Book for a Musical for Fela, winner of 3 Tony Awards and 11 nominations, including Best Musical for that year. Jim was the co-conceiver and co-librettist of this widely acclaimed musical about Nigerian superstar and political activist Fela Kuti. I would prefer to focus my own introductory remarks on how I knew Jim in the classroom and at CC. Remarkably intelligent, curious about everything, relentless in class discussion. I would go so far as to say that in my 39 years at this institution, he was the feistiest kid I've ever had in class. He challenged every remark his classmates raised in class discussion. More unsettling and more unnerving, he challenged every remark I made in class discussion. I do recall so vividly one of his classmates in the privacy of my office asking me if I disliked that Jim Lewis, who argued so vehemently about everything. I assured her, to the contrary, Jim did a splendid job of making the class work, or so I believed. The truth of the matter, needless to say, is that Jim passionately loved history, philosophy, and the discussion and the debate. In short, he was the model student of the liberal arts. By his senior year, his intelligence, curiosity, and passion were beginning to focus on playwriting and the theater, and Jim won the drama department's, at that time, recently established award for his first play, Here the Play's the Thing, which, as part of the award, was performed on campus. After graduation and a lengthy visit to Brazil, for which I confess I take a tiny bit of responsibility, he enrolled at the University of California in San Diego's MFA program in drama. And the rest, of course, is theater history. In closing, I'd remind the CC community that this remarkable career, which by now has included Jim's productions in theaters in 12 cities around the world, began right here in Armstrong Hall. We should take pride in that fact. President Tiefenthaler, it's an honor for me to present Jim Lewis for the degree of Doctor of Letters, honoris causa.
By action of a committee of faculty and trustees, and by virtue of the authority vested in me, I confer upon you, Jim Lewis, the degree Doctor of Humane Letteris, honoris causa, and admit you to all rights and responsibilities pertaining to this degree. As a token of this honor, I ask that you be vested with the hood appropriate to the degree, and I present you with this diploma. I'm pleased to invite alumnus Sam Taylor to the podium to deliver the Convocation address, which he has titled, Coloring Outside the Lines, Pursuing an Interdisciplinary Life.
Thank you. President Tiefenthaler, distinguished members of the faculty, honored guests, and members of the class of 2016, thank you for the honor to address you today on this typically beautiful Colorado September morning. For the incoming students, this is the beginning of an extraordinary adventure in learning, in the synthesis of knowledge, and in exercising that ability unique to our species, thinking. I'd like to reflect on my own experience as a student at Colorado College and the ways that this school opens doors, both in the minds of its students and in the world beyond this beautiful campus. Colorado College-style thinking helped me realize early in my career that just because my major was biology, the traditional career path of a research biologist was not the only option available. I simply did not want to spend my entire life studying fish hemoglobin. Instead, inspired by problem solving and creativity that I learned at CC, I have pursued my academic and professional interests in the fields of public understanding of science and promoting science literacy. And this alternative career path has led me to leadership of one of the greatest natural history museums in the world. At Carnegie Museum of Natural History, I have the privilege and joy of working daily to connect kids to nature and science, of engaging with the diverse communities of Pittsburgh through the lens of indigenous arts and world cultures, and having the third largest collection of dinosaurs in the world to use as an extraordinary tool for teaching Earth history by presenting the physical evidence for evolution. Now, I feel especially privileged to be able to address you students at your convocation, the onset of your college experience. For the next 4 years, you will be members of a unique community of learners, and I hope to be able to give you a sense of how to use, and I really want you to hear that verb again, use your years here productively, creatively, enthusiastically, and thoughtfully. Recently at a museum conference, I attended a panel discussion titled, How to Make Learning Fun. Each presenter spoke about ways that their institutions had adopted what might be called the spoonful of sugar approach to the transfer of knowledge. You butter up your victim with a good and jolly dose of fun, and then before they notice or have the time to run away, you slip in the desired content. Fact-filled, distasteful, and otherwise boring. And hopefully, learning would occur because the victim was having fun, and the factual content was somewhere in the room at the same time. I finally had to comment on all of this pedantic tedium. Learning, I said, is always fun. It's education that's no fun. Especially the view of education being espoused in that panel discussion. If you are learning, it's fun. And I think that is a very Colorado College perspective that I have always carried with me. You don't start with the fun and hope that to slip in some learning in there. You start with learning, and it is incredibly fun, enriching, enlightening, and enduring. When I went to CC, starting in 1970, CC was a grand educational experiment. It was the first year of the block plan, and the excitement of embarking on this amazingly bold approach to learning pervaded every aspect of life on campus. Every discussion in class and outside of class included a focus not just on the subject matter of that class, but also about learning and the process of learning, and it was fun. How remarkable that this school has been able to maintain that experience, that focus on learning, some 32 years later. That focus on the process of learning was almost an obsession then, as I'm sure it is now. In T.K. Barton's American History course, we would have intense discussions about American history, of course, but then equally intense discussions about our discussions and whether they were effectively catalyzing our learning. In Ron Capen's physiology course, we would attend lecture in the morning, then lab in the afternoon, followed by discussions about was this the most effective learning strategy? Should the sequence be reversed? How could you know unless you tried it? So we flipped them and performed the experiment. The results? Mixed. Okay, so now we've established that learning is fun, and that at CC you will be deeply involved in crafting a keen awareness of your own process of learning. But there is another focus, another critical skill that will be honed by your experience at Colorado College, and what I'm referring to is thinking. My most treasured memento of my years at CC is a photograph of my beloved mentor, Mary Alice Hamilton, known to all as Pinky, though no student would have used that nickname then. The photo is a closely cropped shot of Mary Alice and the biology department lab manager, whose name, I'm sorry, I do not recall, in Olin Hall. They both are in starched white lab coats, both looking directly into the camera lens with a piercing sense of purpose. At the bottom of the photo, Mary Alice wrote in large black block lettering, "Think, Sam." That was it. Although I can't remember the exact occasion of her giving me the photo, I can tell you that the words were not meant as a suggestion. They were a command. She was worried, she told me, that I had a lazy streak. And her message was clear. We had a dynamic partnership in learning, but I would be responsible for the heavy lifting. And what she wanted me to do was think. In my senior year, as a biology major, we were required to pass an oral comprehensive exam before a panel of 3 professors. Mary Alice led my exam committee. Orals, as they were known, were regarded as a major hurdle by everyone, and it was not uncommon for seniors to take off the block before their orals in order to study. They would essentially cram, reread every textbook for every biology class they had taken for the previous 4 years, review their lab notebooks, who knows what. I decided to do the same, though I'm not sure if my motivation was driven more by my need to study or by the allure of having the entire block off. Mary Alice was emphatic. Don't do it. It's a waste of time, referring to the intense cramming that other students had engaged in. This is not a test of what you know, she said. This is a test of how you think. So the time came for my orals, and it turned out that I actually knew a lot, and I was stimulated to think a lot too. And it was fun. The ways that CC promotes, encourages, stimulates, and sometimes forces students to think are the hallmarks of the remarkable educational system that you will now be a part of. Courses offered in a schedule of blocks provide the extraordinary opportunity to immerse yourself in a subject and to form a temporary tribe devoted to learning and exploration for 3.5 weeks. And these courses provide the building blocks of your knowledge. Now, your professors may not like what I'm about to say next, because I have an opinion that perhaps the most intellectually stimulating attribute of student life at CC may just be the block breaks. These critical periods between courses are not just time off, even though the vast majority of students leave campus for the mountain trails, the ski slopes, the trips to Canyonlands, or whatever. The value of the block breaks lies in the fact of being out in the world, seeing how the world works beyond the confines of the single subject that you've just been immersed in for the past 3.5 weeks. You see, you will study biology, you will study math. There's political science, English literature, planetary science, studio art, Cuban music, Russian culture, organic chemistry, and so on and so on. All these subjects represent valuable core knowledge. But the problem is that this is not how the world is organized. With each new subject that you learn comes the challenge of incorporating that knowledge into a worldview of how it all functions together. Each block break, even though you may not know it, becomes an experiment in applying that new knowledge in a mini adventure in this amazing place called the world. Here's where that thinking part has to come in. In summation, the CC experience is one of study, learning, synthesis, exploration, experimentation, and thinking about how the world works. You will absolutely gain the core content that is the foundation of what to know. But the synthesis of your entire CC experience generates the much more important skill of how to think. Colorado College was an educational experiment when I was a student here, and the most pleasing aspect of my visit here these past few days has been to see the enduring vitality of that culture of experimentation. A liberal arts education is a curriculum for life. Colorado College is like a certificate program in the interdisciplinary 21st century skills that are critical to success in life and career. I want to close by specifying just what I mean about the kinds of 21st century skills that seem especially relevant to the way that Colorado College continues to redefine the goals of education, to transform how learning is practiced each day, and to expand the measure of student achievement, all in order to meet the new demands of the 21st century. You will not find courses in any of these topics in the CC course catalog, but this is what you will be doing for the next 4 years during every block break, and everywhere in between. First and foremost, consider what I've been talking about throughout the morning: the skills of critical thinking and problem solving. Reason effectively, use systems thinking, make judgments and decisions, and solve problems. Second, develop your skills of creativity and innovation. Think creatively, work creatively with others, and implement innovations. Having an idea and making it work are very different things. Finally, perfect your skills of communication and collaboration. Communicate clearly, collaborate with others, demonstrate the ability to work effectively and respectively with diverse teams. Your ideas impact the world only if they are communicated and understood. My friends, your adventure awaits. Be bold, have fun, learn, and above all else, think. Thank you.
on now. Go and be your bright, shining, budding, brilliant selves, bounding with untamed energy that risks being known and dares to be changed. Go on now, go walk your sacred path of learning, and may you be blessed on this journey. Amen.